How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the RedOUT Podcast. Last week on the RedOUT Podcast.
First thing I would say, just looking at some stats, against Akron, they gave up 359 yards passing. So I think, obviously, if Story can distribute the ball and get the passing game going, a little bit even better than Duncan, I think that we'll be able to get some yards through the air. I mean, 359 yards against a bad Akron team they gave up. And then Tyler Johnston, their quarterback, has been pretty good for 2 out of the 3 games, the last 2 games. But he's only a sophomore, and this is going to be like his first real road test. It's going to be Parents' Weekend. It should probably be one of the best crowds of the season. So if we can get him to make some mistakes early, maybe he gets a little rattled and makes some mistakes. So I think UAB's got talent, but some of it's young and some of it hasn't really faced adversity. I mean, so I think if we can keep the game close, force some turnovers, and get the passing game going, I think that's going to be the keys to taking advantage of probably a slightly better team than us. So.
Everybody, welcome into another RedOUT Podcast. I am your ever-absent host, Jake. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, except for having to listen to that entire thing that Ross was right for last week, I guess. But, it's all right.
That's the ultimate hot take. Turns out right, though.
So, I got to say thanks to Jared for editing that clip there for us. My wife actually laughed. Of course, like the first couple of the horns, she was like, "What the hell?" And then it was like, "Oh, that's great. That's hilarious." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It grows on you after a while." So, just jumping in real quick, we got Ross, we got Jared, we got the ever-absent Jake, and myself, Devin, in here. Always remember, guys, like, share, and subscribe. And we will jump right into it. Winners and losers this week. The loser is the Dolphins, always.
That's always.
Yeah, because they've already had a projected NFL draft for 2020, and they have, I think, the Redskins and then the Bengals. There's still other teams that look just as bad as the Dolphins. I don't know if you guys saw the Bengals play, but that was atrocious. And they're actually trying, which is the worst part. At least I can say the Dolphins aren't. So I don't know how Sam can defend that. Sam, if you're listening, your Bengals need some help.
Yeah, he's apparently he's calling out your Bengals, Sam. So you'll have to jump on and defend them.
They play each other December 22nd, so that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that could be the first field goal to decide a game ever. So, winner this week, I've got one. I've actually heard it on a radio show. The Buffalo Bill wedding. Has anybody else heard this?
Wait, what?
Okay,
I'm not really sure.
So there are 2 Buffalo Bill fans got engaged a year or 2 ago at a Buffalo Bills game. And then this year, I think it was this past week, they got married at the Buffalo Bills game. During halftime, they got married during the game. They have both been fans of the Bills for 11 years. So the punchline was that if they're loyal to the Bills, then there will nothing and no one will ever come between them. And I was like, that is actually one of the funniest lines I've heard, actually.
Not wrong.
So, and my big question is, did, instead of like the Jewish thing where they say, what is it? They stomp the thing and do the thing.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov, yes. I wonder if they jump through a table.
Probably.
Isn't that like a Bill thing?
First of all, imagine being a Bills fan. Then, second of all, imagine just the entire aura that they have at Bills games. I mean, getting absolutely plastered and throwing themselves through burning tables just for literally no reason. And it's not even against other teams fighting anybody, like the fans of the opposing teams. No, they just do that within themselves. I'm just like, man, y'all are a special kind of people.
Yeah, well, in general, I will say that Bills fans have to be a special kind of people because they get 4 foot of snow in October. I mean, I don't even. It's ridiculous.
Imagine going to 3 straight Super Bowls and never winning one of them. Ouch.
It's almost as bad as being a Dolphin. So
undefeated season.
Jake, do you have any winners and losers, buddy?
Yeah, so winners, the 49ers, because they didn't play anybody, so they didn't have a chance to lose. So they have somehow, with their terrible offense, managed to win 3 games, just like their best start in over a decade, which is kind of insane.
Hey, winning's winning. It's whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's where we're at with the tops. So yeah, don't have an offense. That's cool. Just intercept the ball 4 times. That'll be fine.
Yeah, hey, that's kind of what we did Saturday, so that's good.
Exactly, and we'll get there. And then as far as losers go, everyone that thinks what we're going to talk about with this Senate bill from California means anything.
Yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. But Jared, do you have any winners and losers?
Well, I mean, you kind of already touched on the Dolphins, which, I mean, it's still lost, which is what I'm expecting. They were leading for the first time this season, this past Sunday, and I was really concerned that they were actually going to screw up and somehow win a game, but thankfully they didn't, so everything's all right. Now I just need the Redskins and Bengals, and I think there's still one other team that still hasn't won a game, which is sad that there's still 4 winless teams. But I need them all to win a game, so Redskins, Bengals, please win.
Ross, what do you got, buddy?
So as the resident baseball nerd on this podcast, I'm going to go with the baseball teams one. Last night's NL wildcard game was awesome. I mean, it had a Bill Buckner moment. So the winners are the Washington Nationals, who technically advanced in the playoffs for the first time since, I guess, Washington hadn't won a playoff series since 1924 or 1925. So good for them. And then the loser would be the Brewers, specifically rookie right fielder Trent Grisham, who's 22 years old, and he Bill Buckner an outfield hit that basically gave Washington the free winning run to choke away the game. So, baseball, they say you never have a clock in baseball, and I know you guys all think it's boring, but when you get to the tense moments like that where the unpredictable happens, that's when it can be a really good game. So.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, baseball ranks higher than golf and NASCAR for me, but it's not a.
Speaking of the Nationals, though, I saw this hilarious meme.
Watch the atmosphere, and then compare like a lazy Tuesday game in July to what's being played in Oakland tonight or last night in Washington. And tell me it's as boring as It's just there's urgency now, and that matters a little bit. So.
I agree with that. I mean, I think the problem with baseball for me is you play like the same teams, like you'll have an entire series, and I mean it just kind of just bores the hell out of you after a while. No offense, but
no, I have an actual winner.
I don't watch hockey either, so there you go. Jared, what were you gonna say, bud?
I have an actual winner. Now that you brought up the Nationals, you reminded me, Ross. There was this incredible tweet I have to share. It goes out to Nathan Marzian. I think that's how you say his name. He says, "Wow, Nationals Park is so beautiful at night," and it's a picture of a Walgreens, and it's actually really funny. Just like with the sun setting in the background, and yeah, it has the same kind of script W. So Walgreens. I mean, Nationals.
Western's baseball logo.
Yeah,
I suppose too.
That's funny. So Jake kind of alluded to it a minute ago, and we'll jump on it. The governor of California passed a law, and I'm sure a lot of sports people have heard this, and it's huge news. It's called SB206, and that is, I'll let Jake explain it. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk this week about this new law that the California legislature has passed, and as Devin indicated, the governor signed into law. That it says, in no uncertain terms, that the California is going to make it illegal for certain parties to prevent student athletes in the state of playing in the state of California from benefiting from their likeness. Now, this is only going to apply right now to actual four-year universities. It does not apply to any community colleges that might have sports teams, though at the beginning of the act they do say they're going to create an exploratory committee to figure out whether or not it should go to that as well. It's important to give a little context. California already has a student-athlete Bill of Rights where they made certain things mandatory. A lot of it has to do with like health insurance and providing scholarships after a kid gets hurt playing for the school, nothing too crazy there. The big news for this is that what everybody is thinks is big news is that now athletes playing for the NCAA participatory schools in California are going to be able to make money off of their likeness. That is only kind of half true. So what it says is that that no institution or any intercollegiate body that governs athletics, to include the NCAA, shall prevent a student from participating in intercollegiate athletics because they have accepted endorsements. It shall not, prevent them from receiving scholarships from the institutions. There's a whole list of things. And what people are saying is, oh, well, now, the NCAA is going to have to figure out how to deal with this because a bunch of states are going to pass it. It doesn't say that the NCAA schools have to allow this, or at least the NCAA has to allow this. What it says is that institutions and the NCAA or other bodies, but they mean the NCAA, shall not prevent them from competing in intercollegiate athletics. The problem,
Jake,
this,
one thing to throw in there, it's the law doesn't enact till 2023. So the way
Correct.
I've read this, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of a challenge saying, you guys need to figure out this issue. You got 5 years to do it, and we're doing the first legal hurdle for you guys to spur action. Is that correct?
Well, some people think that. I will say that in 2014, when they passed, or 2013-2014 season, when they passed the Student Bill of Rights, or the Student Athlete Bill of Rights, it was just a law that went into effect, as of X date. And so at this point, the intent might be to try to force the NCAA to do something. But if that's the case, then it doesn't. It's toothless a little bit because you can tell it was written by people that don't necessarily understand the NCAA framework or how college athletics work, because it doesn't define intercollegiate athletic activities to mean just NCAA sports, right? So it covers NAIA, it's going to cover anything that's not governed by the NCAA. It's just intercollegiate athletics.
Basically, a bunch of sports that don't have a market to be paid anyway.
Right. Well, what ends up besides it going, ultimately this is going to nothing. So I just want to tell everybody, it's my, I don't necessarily practice this sort of law and do this on a regular basis, but it's my interpretation of this, my understanding of how these things typically work. You will not see anything on this even after that 2023 deadline. What's going to happen is the NCAA is going to, if they do what everybody thinks, if they behave in the way that they have behaved since forever, is they just will not allow the schools in California to participate in the NCAA. It doesn't mean they can't go play football. It just means you can't play in NCAA football. You're totally allowed to play in NAIA or your own California league or whatever, and that won't be a violation of the law as it's written. Now, it's important to note that there also will have to be California state regulations promulgated to talk about exactly how this will work. Typically what happens when you get a law is this law gets passed, it's pretty bare bones, and then all these agencies come in and write, and they don't pass because you don't vote on them, but then these agencies come in and go, okay, here's how this is actually going to work. Bottom line is that this does not prevent the NCAA, this does not mandate that the NCAA has to allow people to get money. It in no way mandates that students are going to receive money because someone actually has to approach them to get it. And then other things that restrict it are that you can't compete with your school sponsors. So let's assume for a moment that you go to an Under Armour school. Nothing in this prevents the school from preventing you from taking a Nike endorsement because you play for an Under Armour school. So there's all kinds of loopholes, there's all kinds of weaknesses to this law. Honest to God, how it's going to shake out is the NCAA is just going to pull the eligibility of the California schools until they balk, and the California schools lobby for this to go away. Because, think about it, guys. Where's the money being made for these institutions? And I'm not talking your Stanfords, your Berkeleys. I'm talking about like other institutions like UCLA,
San Jose State, San Diego State, Fresno State. Yeah.
Right, so you're talking about schools like they make a lot of money off of TV deals and again your partnerships with the athletic apparel people, and if there's a state law that dries that up, that removes that money, donors and boosters and big money people from Southern California are going to come in with big swinging you-know-whats and lobby this law away. If it were me, I think this will not be settled until they take it through the Supreme Court, which they're probably going to do. And because the law goes into effect in 2023, you're figuring at least a 5-year cycle. I'd say this doesn't get resolved by, is this constitutional? Can they do this? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, here's another question I have, Jake. You've already seen other political figures on both sides of the aisle already jump in and kind of basically there's going to eventually come down to maybe 30 different versions of this law, and I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. Basically, I think this is all just a giant political gesture to spur the NCAA into action. I think on a one-off basis, you're probably right, but basically, if there was enough political pressure all over the place, the politicians can score easy wins as public opinion is kind of turned on the side of the athletes, and basically the NCAA is going to be forced to address this as unlike ever before, is my opinion of the situation.
Well, and you're probably right that what's going to happen is they're going to do something, but it's not going to be a full-blown, you can go Zion Williamson and make $2 million off of a Nike endorsement at Duke. That's not.
Well, it's kind of like they did with the cost of attendance thing,
that's exactly what's going to happen. And what they'll do most likely, because this is what the schools and the athletic programs and the Pac-12 and the SEC and Big Ten and Big 12 are going to lobby for, is they're going to lobby for some sort of equity amongst the players in those programs. So right now, as it stands, if let's say this were to go national and were to be in all 50 states, right? And the NCAA was like, sure, that's fine, that's great. What would happen, as we all know, is that, in a free market, the value of a player is vastly different depending on where they go to school and how good they are. Not everybody on Kentucky's basketball team is going to get a $100,000 deal with Nike. 2 of them are going to get those. It's going to create this very disproportionate winners and losers in the athletic programs, and I firmly believe the NCAA, the institutions, and all the big money players involved are not going to let that happen because of the discord that will cause on a team. There's already discord when individual players get more or less press. You see that all the time. If 20 reporters go over and talk to Charles Bassey and nobody's talking to Tay, that creates a little bit of friction. It just has to. It's human nature. So imagine that not just about media attention, but imagine that in an endorsement deal. Imagine it when you go and get they talk about this like autograph sessions. So the local car dealership, in order to drum up business, wants to do an autograph session with your star quarterback from, say Alabama, and nobody's trying to get the defensive lineman's signature and not offering any money. You'll see a profit-sharing thing before you'll see anything else. And if I had to guess, that would be the most drastic thing that I would see happening. Is, okay, Tua Tagovailoa, however you say his last name, Tagovailoa, goes and makes a $5 million shoe deal. That'll be processed through the school. They'll make the deal with the school. The school will then or they'll make it with the player, and the school will monitor it, because that's part of the rule too, is you have to provide financial counseling, all this stuff, which is smart. And then that will trickle down to the student athletes on a proportionate level. So your kicker's going to get $2K, and whoever's going to get this money. That's how it's going to go. I cannot see a world in which college athletics. It's so much money for it to go away, honest to God, because you're going to see. There's still money to be made at your second tier, for instance, Louisville's a perfect example, right?
Okay, Jake. Let me slow this ramble down just real quick, because you can go on for another 20 minutes like you've been doing. But I'm gonna cut everybody down to 2 minutes talking, so that we can kind of get through this quickly, because I want to get to the meat of this, and that's Western football. Let me go to Jared real quick. I'm going to give you 2 minutes on the clock. When you hear Darth Vader, that's when you quit, okay?
Okay.
Good
choice.
Yeah, I thought that would be good. So
I
what
feel
we'll
a lot
do?
of pressure now.
Yeah, so you've got 2 minutes on the clock. What we'll do is you discuss what your thoughts of SB206, the Fair Pay to Play Act, and you'll start now.
You know, I've talked to people that are a lot smarter than me that know more about this stuff, and I still don't know what the heck all of it means. I mean, sure, that's kind of a good thing. Like Zion Williamson, yeah, he definitely could have had marketing opportunities to where he could have signed like some type of deal where he's making money to be in a commercial or endorsing some product. But, I mean, for your average Joe NCAA college player, I mean, there's not that many. It's just the people that they think would be like a projected first-round draft pick. That makes a lot of sense. Like you're saying, only like a few players at Kentucky even would probably get any type of major endorsement. Of course, you would have a little bit like local stuff. I mean, like Ross, the whole thing with Trent betting, I thought that was hilarious, talking about having them pick up somebody. But it's just stuff like that. I mean, there's so many layers to all of this. It's like a giant onion, and I don't really know as much about it. And it goes back to, will they bring back the NCAA football games? That's all I really care about. But how much money is a player supposed to give for that? Yeah, but I mean, how much are you going to get if every single university is on that game? How, like, you might get like $5 or something because they used your number, they used your height and weight, and that's it. I mean, you can take any of the NCAA football games and edit the players kind of however you want into some of the roster settings anyways. So, I mean, why do they even need to use, like, a current, like, actual roster? They don't even use names. Usually it's, like, auto-generated. It just uses the numbers. So, I mean, I don't know. I still don't know all the stuff that all of this means, but I will find out in 2023, I guess.
I was going to say, you have 25 seconds, buddy.
I'm good. I'm finished.
Okay.
Good man.
So
I'll
Ross,
talk more about the things I do know.
There we go. Okay, I'll give
That's
you.
right.
I'll give you your time in a minute. Ross, 2 minutes, buddy, on the clock.
Okay, first thought, I mean, as this stuff progresses, I can see the NCAA pushing, to get rid of draft restrictions where everything goes more towards a baseball rule where, basically you can take it or leave it, and, that will, give those players that probably could avoid or could make money a quicker avenue to do that. And then they'll probably realize that, going and playing college does provide some value that playing for the Bowling Green Hot Rods doesn't. But off of that, I've always had a weird dichotomy in my head. I mean, I'm a pretty free market guy, but I love college sports, so I live with that cognitive dissonance, and I'd rather, I think most of the players are getting a good deal. And as a Western fan, this is where it really worries me. I mean, we're broke as is. Bowling Green's only a town of 50,000 people. I think, as this progresses, keeping players that, you get diamond in the rough, stuff like that will be harder and harder to do. You might get them on camp, like a D'Angelo Malone. He's tearing it up this year. Imagine if, some school like even Louisville just is like, here, we're going to give you a $10,000 endorsement deal from this one, booster, boom. What's going to stop him from doing that? Nothing, because we couldn't compete against that. So I'm worried about that as just my own selfish fanhood. And I'm also think it could get annoying when it just comes to, just more and more corporatization, even on a more vast level than it already is. So, I mean, I see both sides of it. The free market side of me is like, yeah, that's fine. But the selfish WKU fan who wants to see us keep striving and competing, worries about it and doesn't think it's good for Western moving forward.
Or else we all know that Louisville uses strippers and not money to get recruits. So, I mean, yeah.
Or Kentucky or wherever, you know what I'm saying.
I'm sorry, I had to.
Yeah.
Hey, Georgia Tech does too.
All right, okay. My turn. So I will set my timer here so we can keep this going. So, kind of echoing what you all are saying, with this new law going into effect, I feel like it's just a shot across the bow for the NCAA. It's like, kind of like Jake was saying, y'all gonna need to get your stuff together, yada, yada, yada. But at the end of the day, I think it's good to try and protect the athletes, to allow them to to get the, money that the NCAA is taking. But at the same time, I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like the NCAA is going to go to these schools and say, if you follow this law, you are out. I agree with what Jake was saying about that. And, if you allow these student athletes to do this, they're out. You're out of the NCAA, yada, yada, yada. but if you stick with us, you're good to go. But I'm no expert on law, so I have no idea if they can do that or not. But schools like Western, San Jose State, schools like that are going to get crushed, and schools like Southern Cal, UCLA, they're going to flourish because they're going to be able to get that extra money coming in to the student athletes, and at the same time, they're going to be able to take a percentage, I'm sure, and say, this is going to go towards this fund, or this will go to this fund, and siphon off some of that money as a educational tax or whatever you want to call it. I don't see this law having a foot to stand on. I think they worded it so that there was no way that the NAIAs, the smaller collegiate bodies, could worm their way through it. Do I think it's going to stand up? No. And I will stop my time with 13 seconds to go.
Attaboy.
Jake, you want to take... I'll give you your 2 minutes if you want it.
No, just I agree with you that I don't think it's going to get very far. It'll probably... I don't think it's unconstitutional in California. I don't think it'll necessarily get struck down by a court. But I think when push comes to shove, there's too much money involved with college athletics, and so they'll come to some kind of middle-of-the-road profit-sharing trust fund agreement. And I even saw a really interesting thing from Chris Redmond, former Louisville quarterback, who said he's all for it, but he thinks it should be like in the trust fund that you get after you leave school instead of creating an income disparity while you're in school, which is really interesting.
That is an actually really good point to do that. I can see that. And then that allows... I mean, my thing is with college athletes, like some of the kids at Western, I've heard stories of guys who didn't have food, and they'd already ran out of their food allotment or whatever, and so they just went to the coaches, and the coaches basically took cans out of their shelves and put them in a box and gave them to the kids so they could have food.
Back in the day, it was a huge deal.
Well, and of course, technically that's an NCAA violation for the coaches to give them food.
Yeah.
But
they made some rule changes so that doesn't happen anymore.
All the time.
Okay, we got three at the same time. Ross said there was cookouts, but anyway, but I mean, even at Western, there's people that assist the kids in getting clothing, in case they want to go have a job interview or something like that, because some of these kids are from impoverished areas who need the assistance. So I can see that. We actually do have something in the books coming down the pipe, hopefully, here coming next Monday, which would be the 6th, is that right? 7th.
Yeah,
so that'll be Monday, October 7th. Hopefully we'll have a new episode coming out for you. Jared, I'll let you talk a little bit about it. And the reason we're talking about this right now is there is a juicy little tidbit that I'll let you talk about.
Yeah, so thankfully we had the privilege, me and Matt did, to have our very first interview with someone for the Towel Rack, someone definitely deeply rooted into WKU athletics. Y'all could probably guess who it is, but I don't want to say it just because I want to make y'all suffer and tune in and listen to everything that we have to say about it, because it's definitely going to be some really cool stuff that's in that. A lot of good quotes and insight that we are able to get just ourselves, that we're going to be able to share with you guys on the record. So y'all stay tuned, follow the Towel Rack, follow RedOUT, all of those things. That way you can get some pretty awesome coverage that not even like WBKO is doing this week. So get ready.
Yeah, that's it's. Of course, everybody in here right now that's talking on this show already knows what's going on. But you all have had several interviews with this individual before, but this one is the first on the record for you all. For us. So it's super exciting. And they actually have an opinion about SB206 too. So we'll just keep teasing you all until you get it. Ross, let's talk some other sports, buddy. How's soccer and volleyball doing?
We'll get into football here in a second, but it was a perfect weekend on the Hill. We'll start off with volleyball. That they swept Southern Miss and have swept 4 matches in a row. So they're sitting at, I believe they're at 15-1, 1-0 in conference. They're basically off to their best start in school history. So they're cruising along, and we're all, like we said last week, circling that early November match against Rice, who's in the top 25 right now. So stay tuned on that. I think, every week when we do these updates, volleyball is just going to keep cruising because Conference USA, other than Rice, is weak. But, Travis Hudson's back with a vengeance, and it's been kind of fun and exciting. If you're bored on a side, let's see who they play this week. They play Middle Tennessee on Friday. So, HSSN on Facebook. If you want to spend 20 minutes watching it, it's really great, and the quality's good. It's kind of on par with what the ESPN3 broadcast from WKU is. So, just tune in for that. And then soccer had another double overtime win against unbeaten Louisiana Tech to move to they won 2-1. They are now 6-2-1 on the season, already topped last year's win total, and are, I guess, obviously in first place in Conference USA. So
nice.
I know Devin's a big fan of head coach Jason Nidell, and it's been a really great turnaround season for them. So they play tomorrow against Charlotte and Bowling Green. So that's on HSSN too. So really good season for the non-revenue sports. I think women's golf finished in fourth place in Lexington over the weekend, and I'm not sure how men's golf did, but I don't think it was as good. But it's been a really great start to the fall season, and with football even turned it in the right direction. So
yeah, I actually worked with Coach Nidell for a few of their soccer camps over the summers when I was at Western, and great guy. Always a pleasure to work with him. Jared, you've been busy, buddy. Sounds like you got an article about basketball. I'll let you talk about it real quick. What do you got?
Yeah, I just tried to do my best, kind of touching on everything that's happened over the off season and going into this year, what things were supposed to look like. Of course, we've talked about it on here before, a lot of roster changes. There were 6 players that we lost, mostly to transfers. But we've gained 8 players coming in. Western will look really solid that way. They've got a lot of good grad transfers, just a lot of good freshmen, just a lot better core than I think than what they had last year. Like, one of the things I've griped about so long in just about everything basketball season last year was talking about how bad the bench was and that you never really got that much production from anybody. But just looking at whoever they will have on the bench, regardless of what the starting lineup is, you're going to have somebody that's going to be a lot better scorer. You're going to have someone that's a better leader. You're going to have somebody to actually contribute coming off of the bench to possibly be like any type of sixth man, regardless of who that might be. Which I think that's going to be good for them to have, because you need the scoring to continue into the reserves and not just end at your starting 5, because you're not going to get very far. That was one of the main things I talked about with that. And, of course, just how the expectations are really high this year. With Rick Stansberry, it's his 4th year here. We've all had the expectation of getting back to the NCAA tournament, and he's gotten close the past 2 years, getting to the Conference USA title game. But we need to get back to the promised land. We need to get back to the NCAA tournament, especially with the roster that he has this year. If he doesn't do it now, then I'm not really sure when he is, because he has about the best lineup of players he's had since he's been here.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of frustrating to have such a superstar as Charles Bassey, and then I think it was the buildup of everything, and especially football season last year doing so bad, and then basketball really didn't, I don't think they met the expectations everybody had for them.
You want to hear something wild I learned today? Western hasn't won a regular season conference title in men's basketball since 2009.
Holy crap.
It's been that long. They've won the conference tournament, but they haven't even won a regular season conference title in 10 years.
That's when Devin and I were in school.
I was going to say Jared was in middle school, so yeah.
I was a freshman in high school, actually. Although that's basically the same thing.
Yeah, basically. Jake, you missed our birthday wishes for Jared last week, so.
Oh, for his Sweet 16?
Yes, his Sweet 16. It was so nice. So, Jake, we won. We beat UAB. I didn't really get your opinion last week as far as how we were thinking what you were thinking as far as if Western could beat them, but we did. Western won 20-13 in a very ugly game, and I was very happy.
Devin loves ugly games.
We won, so of course I'm happy.
That's true.
Western had 222 total yards. UAB had 298. We forced 4 turnovers. Even got a fat man interception, which is my favorite interception of all time.
Yes, Jeremy Darvin.
Shout out. You should have like 6 interceptions.
Yeah, we really should have. And if I hear what is his name? Jonathan Taylor Thomas the Third or something? Tyler Johnston the Third. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I will say the broadcast crew they had. Brandon did a good job. I always like to hear his commentary and what he kind of thinks as far as the offensive-minded person. But the other broadcaster, every time it was Tyler Johnston the Third, Tyler Johnston the Third, and I was just like, oh my gosh, can we just call him TJ3?
I'm glad I was at the game, or else that would have been annoying to hear.
It wasn't FIU versus WKU bad, but it was still pretty rough. And Western and UAB had 7 penalties apiece, where UAB had 67 yards of penalties, Western had 71. So there's that. I mean, it's nothing really. I think the turnovers is what kept Western in the game. Most definitely.
Definitely.
Western. Jake, you watched, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what did you think, bud? I'll let you go first.
Well, like you said, it was super duper ugly. I was super happy for the win, and there were some things, that they were able to execute. Most of them were on the defensive side of the ball and special teams. But like we always talk about, you win 2 out of the 3 phases, and you typically get a win, and that's what Western was able to do. Kind of backtracking to what I thought going into the game, I thought UAB should be a touchdown favorite. At least on our neutral field, you take it down 3, so 4-point favorite on the home field. I thought their defensive front was just too good. I do love seeing the Southern Miss people talk trash on Twitter. It's like, listen, we just beat UAB and y'all got blitzed by them, so y'all need to chill out.
Exactly.
But yeah, we'll see later on in the season. But I mean, watching it, like, yes, this is a good win. This is progress. It was good to see. So defense was obviously, they played well. They capitalized when they needed to. They took advantage of mental mistakes on behalf of UAB's quarterback. And on the offensive side of the ball, we talk about positives. The kind of, I guess, my surprise of the game was that Ty Story took care of the football. I know we had some problems with Duncan with that earlier in the season, and he made some progress in that Louisville game before he tragically got injured, but I was super concerned that Ty Story was just going to go in and throw like 4 picks, especially considering that first, botched, shoveled, pass, whatever, fumble in the very first play of the game. That was awful. I was sitting there watching it on my TV, and I was just like, oh, God, here we go. Oh, no.
Awful call, by the way. I completely think that was a backwards pass, but go ahead.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where, all right.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, and so I was happy to see that he took care of the ball. He's not dynamic. He's not a world beater. He's a game manager, but that just might be where we are this season. And if so, just go get the wins and build for next year.
I kind of disagree with. I don't think he's a game manager. I think he does have a lot of possibilities. I think he's a lot faster than Duncan. Whether that's because of Duncan's injury or what, but I mean, Ty Story led our rushing.
Yeah,
and that's crazy.
It wasn't really efficient rushing, but yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, he basically had 2 yards per rush. To Brian Ellis' chagrin.
His pocket presence was really solid. I mean, there was a lot of times where everything was kind of collapsing around him, and he was still able to make something out of it, which, I mean, you put someone like Duncan or somebody else in that situation, it probably wouldn't have ended well. They would have just chucked up a terrible throw or got sacked. But, I mean, he has good pocket presence. I think he's getting there. I mean, it was his first start this year. I mean, the more he gets involved in the system and gets more first-team snaps and all that, it's definitely going to help. And having that extra week during the bye week, too, to be able to get ready is probably another good thing that happened as well. But overall, I was impressed with Story. I mean, he doesn't have to gun it out a whole lot. It's going to be interesting to see how he looks once teams start getting scouting reports on him and see that he's more of a runner. They might try to jam stuff up the middle a little bit and force him to throw it a little more and see how he kind of does in those situations. But at least for right now, I mean, he looks pretty good.
Ross, what'd you think, buddy?
I mean, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I wrote the recap, and I think it was 7 or 8 minutes long. Great team win. I think the number one goal for the defense was not to get burnt deep, and then you get burnt deep once. So, I mean, and they were sitting back there, and basically they gave. Western's middle back 7 isn't great. I think you've got some good players like Kyle Bailey and Devin Key and stuff like that, and you've got a bunch of Jaden Hunter's been disappointing. He had another 2-tackle game, and that's where we miss somebody like Eli Brown. But we are basically with that adjustment that we made during the bye week, we're letting our studs like D'Angelo Malone and Juwan Jones disrupt people. D'Angelo Malone leads all defensive linemen with tackles, all defensive linemen and tackles in the country. He had 2 sacks, 3 tackles for a loss, and I said on Twitter the other day on the Towel Rack account, he's the best, most disruptive D lineman we've had since Quantera Smith back in 2012. So it's good to see us have some more guys. I think we're lacking a little bit of playmakers on offense. We've got to get Josh Simon the ball more. We got him 3 touches this game. Let's double that. Let's get him 6 touches and see what he can do, because I think everybody else is kind of a flawed player. Jacor Pearson had a really good game. I think he can be a good, poor man's Nicholas Norris. But we got to keep getting those guys the ball. I think that's what's going to help Ty Story take that to the next level. And our defense isn't always going to be on like that. So, now it's up to the offense. We got to get Cage Walker going again. But, overall happy. We stood up, we won a game, and we didn't fold. And I thought UAB kind of controlled the game until the fourth quarter. So
I agree. And I know Jake's favorite receiver, Lucky Jackson, had 44 yards, but Jacor Pearson just kind of stepped up, and he did an amazing job. The only thing that would have made me happier Saturday is if wasn't that you said Jeremy Darvin, right?
Yeah,
the big man. If he would have scored, I would have probably
awesome.
I would have just ran out of my house and done that whole "oh my god" around the house, and my neighbors.
Yeah, it's like when the Ndamukong Suh got a touchdown for Tampa Bay this past Sunday. That was kind of wild.
Yeah, was it against the Dolphins or what?
No, this is against whoever. No, they beat the Rams, which was ridiculous. That was a big upset.
That's I was extremely thrilled. Yeah, you're still there, Jake. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I'm still here, man.
Great game. I was extremely happy. I have nothing really to add. I think you all covered everything. I will say I do have an award this week. The Oscar goes to Clayton Bush. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Dude, that was wild.
That was hilarious, first off.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
The funny thing is, UAB's guys are on the field, and the coaches are all pointing to the replay. They're like, look, he knocked his own helmet off. What was that? Was that a punt return, or was it a defensive play? He's getting blocked, his helmet almost comes off, and he takes his hand real quick and smacks his helmet off. So that he could get the penalty, because it is illegal to knock the helmet off the other guy. So... and that was props to you, buddy. Props to you. Slow clap. So, looking ahead, we've got ODU this week. We're playing at isn't it Norfolk? Isn't that right? Isn't that where they're at? Yes, Norfolk, Virginia. A nice 70-degree forecast for the game. So far, Western is 2-2 all-time series against ODU. So we need to go down there and get a win. And Vegas is projecting us a 3.5-point favorite with a 71.1% FPI index, or football power index is what that stands for. Last week they had us at 61, and we both thought that was a little high. This week at 71, I don't know if I'm quite as sure as I was last week. What do you all think?
Yeah, Old Dominion just had a really solid game against Virginia, this nationally ranked and everything, and they should have won that game, but they did not come out in the second half at all. They really blew that one. They beat Virginia Tech last year, but they still struggled a whole lot. We should have beat them last year, but instead we had 2 untimed penalties that led to that field goal that they got, which is still probably the most tragic and abysmal loss that I've ever seen in football.
Yeah,
you can say that a lot about the Mike Sanford era, though. But looking at Old Dominion now, I think it'll be pretty solid. They're very close to what UAB is as far as how they kind of do things, but I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out. I hope that Western does pretty good, but we'll have to wait and see.
I can agree with that, and I think the thing that makes that worse with that penalty is that it ended up on SportsCenter, which was even more humiliating. But kind of expanding on what you said. Last year they beat Virginia Tech. This year they lost 31-17 to Virginia Tech in week 2.
This isn't a good Virginia Tech team if you watch the Duke game.
Well, and then they lost to Virginia this year, 28-17, and apparently Virginia was ranked number 21 at the time. And then this past week they played East Carolina and lost to them 24-21.
ECU's a decent AAC team. They're not great, but
Yeah.
they've got a new coach that came from Jay Madison. So usually that's a program I think Western could go for as a support level, but that's an off-season topic. But I've done some research. Obviously, I did a Q&A that's going to come out tomorrow or Friday on the with the ODU beat writer from Underdog Dynasty. This is a bellwether game for us. This is a game with 3-0 start on the line. They're reeling. If we can put them away. Their quarterback, Smart, is a dual threat guy, which always gives us problems. I mean, he's ran for 163 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he's 1 touchdown pass and 4 interceptions. So hopefully we're ready to go against a mobile quarterback. Tyler Johnson actually had a pretty good game running the ball against us last week. So that worries me. We need to spy Smart and make their running game beat us more than anything. But, if we want to make a bowl game, if we want to do this, have a successful first season, you go into Norfolk, you've got probably the most momentum you've had all season. Now go in there, finish drives, take the next step, and really build on it before a real statement game possibility against Army. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I'm just hoping that Smart is not so smart this weekend and keeps throwing those interceptions. And like you said, I kind of made my notes before the podcast, and the strength for ODU is definitely the dual threat quarterback, but the weakness is Smart's throwing. Throwing 4 interceptions is not helping him out at all. And he I think he's 69 for 109 though so far this season. So
63%, yeah.
Yeah, so that's not. It's 63% better than that's every other pass basically. But we'll see how it plays out. Jake, what are your thoughts on the game this weekend?
I think the point spread on this one honestly is probably about right, but when it comes to this, if the defense executes even half of what they did as far as turnovers and limiting scoring opportunities against Old Dominion and makes any step forward in either the rushing or the passing game, to be perfectly honest, whichever one you can get going, I don't think you need both to perform super well against Old Dominion. Like you said, it's a decent Virginia team, not a good Virginia Tech team, and that ECU team, while they're traditionally pretty stout program, aren't world beaters this year either. They're not their traditional, good football playing selves. So I see a good chance for the Tops to win. I take nothing for granted this season. I think what we've seen is that every game is going to just be gross and claw their way to victory if they get it. And I'm fine with that. I just want to see some improvement on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I'm fine with a Lieutenant Dan quote, crawling through the mud winning this season as far as I'm concerned.
Through the mud.
I want one of those games where everything clicks and we get to 35 or 42 point games. I think, we're capable of doing that. Even against UAB and we didn't have a lot of yards, there was that offensive face mask on Fortenberry that caught the touchdown called back. We only scored 20, but we should have probably scored 30 against UAB. Let's go out there, finish a couple more drives, get some more confidence, and get the playmakers rolling. So we're not winning every game by the skin of our teeth.
So Ross, you kind of touched on that briefly, but I want to just expand, not attack, expand how awful the refs were this past weekend. First
You
off,
say that like it's anything different. Because
I know I should be used to the craptastic Conference USA refs, but anyway,
I know they're so bad,
they were calling the wrong numbers like every single time. And
that was my favorite. They called like an offensive penalty against Western, and then the guy the dude in the booth would be like, "Well, that's D'Angelo Malone's number. He's obviously not on the field. I'm not sure who they're talking about there."
Yeah, exactly.
Stephen Duncan's number.
Stephen Duncan was another one,
Yeah.
and then they called. What was it? It was like 64 or something, and they're like, "That's not even on Western's team. I don't even know who they're talking about." Which that Fortenberry penalty, I thought that was weak sauce. I'm pretty sure Tyson Helton and was that the call that Brian Ellis was yelling from the booth that he thought was ridiculous, or?
Well, it was the holding penalty that was called on Ja'Cour Pearson. He had another big catch and run that went for almost like 60 yards, and it got called back. But that was so funny because I was up close to where the booth is, and hearing him yell, I was like, what in the world is going on? And it wasn't until I saw what Matt sent in the group chat talking about is Brian Ellis. See, there was a UAB player that got hurt on that play, and I thought it was somebody from UAB like yelling, saying, y'all are hurting our players or something stupid like that, but thankfully not. But it was actually really funny.
Yeah, I don't blame him, though, because I'd be really frustrated. I did see where they had an interview with Brian Ellis this afternoon, and he wasn't very happy with Ty Story running as much as he did.
That sack that he took when we could have gone up by 10. I listened to the press conference for Helton on Monday, and God, that's where throw the ball away. Munson's been pretty good since the first game. Let's let him nail a game-winning, a game-sealing kick instead of taking that bad sack.
Completely agree. Yeah, I mean. Excuse me, sorry guys, I'm an old man. But yeah, completely agree. With, I think it's just getting the rust off, kind of so to speak. Especially like the first or second series there with Story. He had that kind of those few moments where you're like, well, what are you doing? With the forward pass or backward pass, whichever way you want to call that. And then like some of those little stupid mistakes, but I think he's learning. I think he's going to be okay. I think we'll be good against ODU so far. We'll see. But the game's going to be this Saturday, I think it is, the 5th. Yes, it's going to be Saturday on ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. So let's jump into the mailbag real quick. Not very many this week. Somebody is wanting Ronald Hall wants to know where was Shanley. Looked for him on the sidelines, couldn't find him. I didn't even look.
He was there. I remember I was talking with Tyler Eaton with Red Towel Radio before the game, good buddy of mine in Franklin, and we were looking at all the quarterbacks when they were throwing on the just kind of warming up and everything, and we were evaluating all of them, and I saw him. So
I did see Stephen Duncan on the sidelines with his little scooter.
Yeah, I feel so bad for him.
I completely think they should get him one of those Walmart scooters because I think that would be even funnier. And he could just put the ball in the little basket and drive around. By far my favorite thing. Apparently nobody else thinks that. Sean Taylor says, run blocking, period. Okay, Sean. Love you, buddy. But Western's offensive line is going against probably the top defensive line in the Conference with Conference USA in UAB. I don't think that it's such an understatement for them to not perform as well as they did. I know some of his takes got to be cold takes this week, but
here's the thing. I don't think it's going to get better this week because ODU's got a really stout defensive line too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, they're.
I totally agree. We need to get the running game going. This last 2 games has been crap, but I don't look for it to improve this game. So
I don't either. I mean, like you said. Rushing yards allowed, ODU allows 94, and we're only rushing 89. So if we hit 90 yards, I think that's a miracle in that aspect. But we'll see. Let me see if let me get the other mail. Let me get the RedOUT Twitter pulled up here. Adam says there have been moments where our offense looked like they have potential for deep, explosive passes, but they just haven't been able to complete them thus far this season. How long do you think it'll take for that part of the passing game to get dialed in? Jared, what do you think, bud? How long is it going to take?
Hopefully not too long. I mean, now that Story is probably going to be the guy for the whole season, and barring something happens to him with injury, I hope not. But, I mean, I think that they'll get there eventually. I mean, he's not going to be gunning it a whole lot, but I think if he can stay with those consistent mid-passes like 10, 15, 20 yards or so, just try to get past the first down marker. I mean, you can run those curl routes and pick it up that way, but as long as they're not calling screens on like 3rd and 15 for literally no reason like last year, I mean, that just
It's a step forward.
a lot.
Yeah,
So,
I think I think we're dealing with two different coaches here, so I don't think there's a lot to worry about there.
From what I've seen with Coach Helton and everything, I mean, I like the plays that he's calling. I mean, there's a lot of different random things that I like that he did. Like, I'm a big fan of the pistol, and he had ran something out of that. I thought that was really cool. And I think that the more that Stories continues to develop and get used to his system and everything, the better. And he'll definitely be a good person to have, too, when we play at Arkansas, because they just lost to San Jose State not too long ago. So we should definitely have a shot of potentially beating an SEC team on the road going into Fayetteville later this year.
I'll be there.
All right, so Ross is going to be there in
I got
Fayetteville.
two cents on this one. I think, what we're really missing, and, this is kind of something that, somebody like Dean Tebow on the Facebook group, we've lost a lot of playmakers over the years and haven't, we've replaced Taywon Taylors with Lucky Jacksons and stuff like that. And that where those kind of guys are like a Nicholas Norris with a Jack Ward Pearson, where, they can have their moments, but consistently depending on them. Helton said something in this Athletic article today. We just don't have the playmakers that they had when they were here before. So, it's the offense is always going to be trial by fire now. And, after losing Duncan, and Story's going to take a couple games to get going. The game, I think we could see ourselves kind of take a step forward would be against Charlotte. Their defense allows like 392 points a game. If we don't get it going by then I don't know if we'll ever get it going. So
392 points a game?
Or yards, sorry.
I was like, good God, man,
That would
that's
be
like
incredible.
Madden rules.
Yeah, but they lost a lot of shootouts, and if we can't put 35 on the board against them, then that's when it's like, okay, I don't know if it's ever going to get better this season.
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, of course, Charlotte did play Clemson too, so that didn't really help them.
Well, also against App State, against FAU, against even like UMass, they've given up points. So
yeah, I think like you're saying though, the lowest scoring team against them would be FAU, and they scored 45. So it's not really a good sign there for them. Jake, what do you think, buddy? How long is it going to take for Western to be able to go deep?
Season, consistently. I mean, what do you want? Like, look, you got a guy who has not shown. I mean, okay, yes, this was his first start for WKU. That's fine, but he also didn't show that at Arkansas. He wasn't a consistent passer. I don't have a lot of faith in the quarterbacks this year until they show me something. Hell, they could go and throw deep bombs down the field against UAB and win by 30 points. That would be amazing, and I would totally eat all the crow and be happy about it. But we don't have an excellent step-up playmaker receiver. We do not have anybody currently active who has a consistent cannon of an arm. And against ODU, like Ross mentioned, was such a good defensive line, we're not going to be able to open up the run game probably very much, which, as you preached to me all the first year of Mike Sanford's tenure, which was absolutely correct, that if you can't establish any sort of run game, how in the world are you going to take advantage of those over-the-top throws? So, honest to God, I see this season as a management, develop the players that you have so that in the future you have more developed explosive playmakers. I think Walker can be one, but we've seen him do that, in the run game. We'll just have to see, man. I don't have a huge amount of faith in the offense this year.
Yeah, Jake's kind of our pessimistic anchor, where the rest of us is extremely happy. Jake's just kind of like, wait, somebody left their shoe untied, guys. Wait, calm down, okay?
And
I'm super excited about the win. I just don't have to be super excited about the rest of the season. Like, I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see positive movement. But if you want me to jump on we're going to a bowl bandwagon, I am way.
I'm not there yet either, so don't even think that. But I think this team has an upside potential that's the 7-5 upside, but I think they do have the downside of the 4-8, downside as far as that goes. But I think Ty Story is that deep threat. He did take some deep shots, and I kind of like that. I think Duncan is more hesitant on those deeper throws like that. And, I mean, Story ain't afraid to get down there and get rough. And I liked that, too. I liked watching that.
I did like that. He's tough as nails.
And I hope he stays tough as nails, knock on wood.
I'd rather Story do like he's doing and just stay with these mid-range passes instead of trying to be like Duncan and throw into triple coverage deep and get picked off. So, I mean, that's what it is.
Okay, so Adam's question is a two-parter. Also, our run game was non-existent this past game. How crucial do you think it will get? How crucial do you think it will be to get that back to win at ODU? Okay, let me read that one more time because I got confused. How crucial do you think it will be to get that back to win at ODU? So he wants us to get our run game back. Okay, I got you. Army is a couple weeks away. Do you think this game with ODU's defense will help us get ready for Army or just wear us out? I think it could be a good... if we keep our injuries to a minimum, I think it could be a good game to get us ready for Army. Do I think we're going to beat Army? No, I'm sorry.
Well, the thing with Army is if Western wants any shot, they've got to score. Because you've got to get them, they're going to control the ball. They're going to just beat the crap out of you with that triple option. So the only way you can get that to overcome that is to score and make them, speed them up pretty much. So we did that against Navy in the past. We did that against Army in the past. Now we've got, let's beat ODU first, but let's not get too beat up in the process. So.
Well, and of course those were past teams. I mean, this is... Yeah. We're looking at a, quote, rebuilding year or whatever you want to call it. So, like I've been preaching before with Army and Navy and all those military institutions that have teams, those dudes are conditioned out the wazoo. They have practice at 4 a.m, and then they do their PT afterward. So they can run all day long. I mean, even the big guys can run all day long. I mean... Loving the questions, guys. Appreciate it. Jared, what do you think, buddy? Is this game going to get us ready for Army, or are we just going to get wore out?
Well, I mean, I hope not. I mean, I hope this is a really good test for them to continue to condition, obviously, and be able to get ready for a game where they're just going to be running it down their throats pretty much the entire time. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, I haven't done as much research on any of the Conference USA schools much in football at this point. But just seeing, from what they've been doing this year, they've lost a lot of close games. They've had some good moments where they were beating a nationally ranked team but didn't come out in the second half. I mean, that sounds kind of familiar. But getting ready for Army, I mean, they obviously need to do that, but yeah, they got to get through Old Dominion first because winning your conference games is what really matters. If they can continue to stay undefeated in the CUSA, that could be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Jake, what's your thoughts, bud?
On whether or not ODU is going to just beat us up before Army?
Yes. Is ODU going to be a preparation thing? Is it going to help us get ready for Army, or is it just going to cut us down and keep us from being...
Look, I'm here to tell you, nothing gets you ready for Army's style of play. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, they play even... I got a buddy at work who's a big fan of Army, and he also really loved Georgia Tech back when they ran the triple option. He just forward pass. What is that? So no, I don't think anything gets you ready for Army. It maybe not in style of play, maybe in a mental aspect. So you go out, you win a tough one against ODU, or even better, you build some confidence up by, winning convincingly. And convincingly to me would be, by 7.5. That 7.5 spread, winning by a touchdown or more, would be a convincing win for me. You get that, and then maybe you're in a better mental position to take on Army. But I don't necessarily think playing anyone else in the country prepares you for such a weird team like Army.
Yeah, Army and Navy are both really weird as far as their strategies go, offensively and defensively, etc. Okay. I'm going to kind of go to a little cold take here because I really want to get onto this one. I shared this with Jared earlier this week, and I think it is completely ridiculous, and I want to hear what you all say about this. Okay, so this comes from Sean. I love you, buddy, so don't feel like I'm making fun of you, but I just want you to know this is a cold take. This is the first time in 10 years that we've won a meaningful regular season home game that the crowd packed the house and was loud and was electric, and it was a close game. And we actually came out on top. Normally we'd lose and the home games wouldn't be packed no more for the rest of the season. Now that we won and it puts us at 2-0 in the conference, we got to build on this and bust the test of the season with a packed house rest of the home games. Good win, Tops. It's early though. So, I don't know if he is setting up that we didn't have every single one of those things that he mentioned, that the crowd packed the house, that it was loud, it was electric, it was a close game, and we actually came out on top. So there's like 4 things there. Is that what he's saying? We didn't get all of those? Because we've had those. I mean, what was that, Marshall, 16? Yeah. 15, 14? I don't even remember. It was when Braun was here. And it was when Jake basically almost got in a fight with a drunk dude, and I had to step in.
Hey, I did not get in a fight with either of those drunk people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, wasn't that Thanksgiving? Isn't that right? I know that's what Ross just said, but I think
it was around. Yeah, it was when they went for 2 on up 2 touchdowns and went for 2 because they tried to ice the kicker when it was clear they were already going to lose.
Yeah, and I mean that was a fairly large crowd that game. I mean,
it was a good crowd. It was electric.
It was a good game.
This is a pretty cold take. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, and I mean,
in his defense, I think it is a very significant thing, just for the fact that, at least for me being there and being in the environment, it did feel like getting that win. It's a close game. You win it in the second half. There's 20,000 people there. Like, it was reinvigorating, and it kind of put all of the pain that we experienced from the Mike Sanford era behind us. I think that's what felt so nice about it, is because, I mean, with Sanford, bless his heart, I mean, he was barely able to win the UTEP game. I mean, that was one that we were able to blow out in front of barely 8,000 people, which was sad. But it just kind of showed how things have changed.
How did the crowd look, like in the second half of the UAB game?
It looked pretty solid, honestly. Like, people came in a little later. Like, there was people still coming in through the first quarter and everything. But once everybody was in there, I mean, that was probably the biggest crowd we've had since the Vanderbilt game in 2016. It looked really good.
So that's
Parents Weekend always packs it. I mean, that's you got to take the crowd with a little bit of a grain of salt, because half of those people don't care because they're just there to go party with their kids or whatever. But
I'll take it where we can get it.
Yeah, hey, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But my thing is too, with that UTEP game you were talking about, even though it was senior night, that weather was awful that weekend too. And I mean, I'm sure the record for Western and Sanford at that point didn't help motivate people to want to go watch that game. Because I don't know if fans honestly thought we would win that game, as bad as that sounds. Jake, what are you thinking? How bad a cold take is this?
I mean, it's about, okay, so it's almost like this thing where you can kind of couch it in that there were 4 things there. It was this, and was this, and was this, and was this. We haven't had anything like that. Yes, it was a large crowd, so that's really good. And it was a win, electric, and all that. My main take is, like, meaningful home wins. Because I don't think you get to have all of it when you make, I mean, again, you're putting way too many modifiers on it. But I think that the heart of this is the first time we've had a meaningful home win in a long time, and everybody wouldn't show up. He's right that people wouldn't show up if you pee down your leg. Like, that's good. Tops fans do that, bless their hearts. Just get ready for basketball season. But some of the Marshall home games were huge. Conference USA championships were some of the most electric crowds. The first Southern Miss one where we stormed the field both times. But the time that me and my buddy got into the locker room a little bit, too many Frosty Wheat beverages, and took pictures with the team and with Brandon Taffy. That was awesome. Took pictures with him, and then got quickly ushered out when they found out we weren't his people. Are these you people? No, these are my people, man. You're going to leave. Okay, cool. Everybody was super nice. It was a good time.
That's hilarious.
I've told that story before. It was fun, irresponsible, but fun. But no, there's definitely been meaningful home games that were victories where the crowd was electric.
Within the past 10 years, too.
Yeah, I mean, within like the past 3 years, like 15 and 16.
Yes.
There were lots of home games that were electric. I mean, come on. Okay, so aside from the crowd, what about the ODU fight on homecoming? Was that not electric enough for you? Like a bench clear and brawl, like that's pretty. And in a beat down, that's pretty electric.
Can always packs the house. I mean, that's you gotta say, that's a modifier on any crowd that's not Vanderbilt. So
yeah, I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, and that's
love you, bud, but that's cold. Go ahead, Jake. Sorry, buddy.
Oh, I was just gonna say that's the thing that really defines the difference for me is crowd size. Like I said, being like the second largest crowd since, or the largest crowd since that home game against Vanderbilt where it was standing room. Like I'll give him that. There were a lot of people there, and that was really awesome.
So just so you all know, I found this on Twitter. The person that posts, he does it fairly often. It's Cold WKU Takes on Twitter, and the title of it is WKU Old Takes Exposed. So follow them. They'll have some fun things, and will help educate you fans so you can understand why some of your takes are cold.
It's an absolute pleasure reading everyone's stupidity. I will say that. Being the moderator of the WKU basketball group, it's like that there's like a Category 5 hurricane coming pretty soon. So I'm just kind of like boardening up all of my windows and getting all my bread and milk and stuff and all of my stuff. So I'm ready.
Just wait till that unexpected road loss to Wright State or EKU or something that we're bound to get.
Oh my gosh. Don't even bring that. Don't wish that on us, Ricky Bobby. You keep that
Ooh,
evil to
man.
yourself. So we kind of talked about this earlier in the week in our group chat. We're wanting to discuss maybe our favorite or least favorite Southern Kentucky counties. Okay. So if you're on WBKO looking at the weather, these are the counties you're looking at. Okay, guys. So I grew up in Allen. Jake grew up across the river in Warren County. Jared grew up in Simpson County, and Ross has a lake house in Allen/Barron. So I guess I'll start off. I'll start off with one of the counties, with Monroe County. You all may have never heard of Monroe County because you have to drive through.
Great barbecue.
Yes, they do. You have to drive through Allen County to get to Monroe County, or even sometimes Glasgow.
Yeah, if it involves going through Allen County, I stay as far away from that.
Jared, you can't see my hands right now, but just guess which fingers I'm using. So, Monroe County, it is a very isolated, but they have a Walmart. I don't understand that. Allen County doesn't even have a Walmart.
It's sort of like Henderson,
Well,
Kentucky.
you got the Dollar General Market. What else do you need?
First off, Allen County is the home of the Dollar General. So
right.
There's that.
Palatial estate out there.
Yes, but it's so funny. If you charted like where the Walmarts were around South Central Kentucky, they circle Allen County, but they never come in. So I'm guessing all that.
Gee, I wonder why.
Yeah, I'm guessing all that Dollar General money is just thrown around to keep them out. I guess.
No, you know what it is? It's that pomada. That's what it is. Those
Which, by the way,
out the competition.
You know the pomada has closed, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's been closed forever because they have a food line. You don't have a food line before it was pomada?
No. See, the pomada, which for those of you who have no idea what a pomada is, it's like a Kmart or something. It's like a knockoff Kmart, but it closed, I think, like 10 years ago, 10 or 12 years ago in Scottsville. The food line is just down the street from a different building, but now we have a TSC in the old Pomida building. So Scottsville's going crazy in the Ville.
Huddle House back.
Yes, we do have Huddle House back. That was right next to a funeral home, which is amazing. Yeah, don't understand that either.
Dude, I didn't know Huddle House was a chain until I
I didn't either.
Away. There's one. I thought it was just up on that hill in Allen County at the intersection there. That's all I thought it was. And then I moved other places okay. It's like a long
yeah, apparently it's a chain. I had no idea. I didn't either. I just thought it was somebody who bought it and named Huddle, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I honestly did. At first I thought it was football related.
Yeah, hey, that very well could have been. because when I was in high school, after games, some of us would go up there and have a meal or something, or talk, or goof off or whatever at the Huddle House. So yeah, there's that.
Dude, honest to God, that's what I didn't know that the name of it was Huddle House. I honestly, like, when I was little hanging out with you when you were playing football, I thought that's just what you guys called some place that you went. Like, I did not know it was a restaurant until I was like a teenager.
So, Jared, let's hear you throw some shade my way, buddy.
All right, towards Monroe County, or
you throw it wherever you want to.
All right, so I mean Allen County. I'll just start there. That's always a good place to start.
Of
course, it's
Franklin
next
Simpson
door
boys
neighbor to
met
good old
Allen
Simpson County, where I live at. I mean, the only times I ever set foot into Allen County is one out of pure boredom. There was one time when I think it was still in high school, like finally got my intermediate. Like me and one of my buddies, like we tried to get ourselves lost. And what I did is that I just started driving through all of these back road country roads, just going through everywhere. And of course, like if I want to get lost, there's one place I know for sure I want to go, and that's toward Allen County, because it is a forbidden zone to me. There's no reason I should be over there except for Harper's Catfish, which as sketchy as it may look, it is still pretty good. I don't know if they're still up to FDA standards, but the catfish is still pretty freaking delicious, if I say so myself.
Still tastes good, but God.
Buddy, let me give you a pointer, okay? Don't go to Harper's anymore. Go to Dumplings, okay? It's a lot better.
Well, I've been there too. I mean, it's still good, but I don't know. I mean, I've gone to Harper's like my entire life, as long as they've been open. I mean, I've gone at least a couple of times a year, sometimes more, sometimes less. But I mean, it's still solid. It's sketch, but I like to live dangerously. Okay.
I haven't been to Harper's in probably 10 years. I honestly didn't even know they were still open.
Yeah, they're still open, and it probably looks exactly the same as when you were there 10 years ago. They haven't really changed anything.
Do they still have the flea market next door is what I want to know.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, the last time I was there, I was not paying that much attention.
Oh, yeah.
I was just trying to make sure we weren't going to run over anybody that's addicted to meth. But I mean, as much shade as I throw towards Scottsville, I mean, it's just fun. Because being from Simpson County, you just have that initial sort of like shade that you have to throw towards Logan County and Allen County, especially Warren County and South Warren and everything, now that they're a thing. So, and even I remember back when Franklin was rivals with Portland down in Tennessee, like that was a good rivalry game.
Yeah, I remember that was a thing.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty cool. But now, I mean, just more towards like South Warren and stuff like that, staying in state. But, I mean, it's pretty over that way. There's a lot of Amish people, which is cool. I think this is where Haybeggers, or however you say their name is, they have it's an Amish market that's really good, delicious stuff. But yeah, I mean, Allen County, I don't know what to tell you. We beat y'all in football too, so you go for yourselves.
Yeah, like I told Jake the other day, I give zero cares about Allen County football. Sorry.
That's a shame.
I do. Okay.
Where's your school spirit, Devin?
I'm sorry. I do like Allen County sports, but I don't follow high school sports. Like, my little brother follows it really closely, and, he'll tell me stuff about it, and I'm like, okay. But I just don't have that... I don't have that spirit like I do with Western. Does that make sense? I mean, it's alien to me. We've got a new coach since I was there. They've had the same coach for basically 10 years now, probably 10 or 12 years, and best of luck to him, but I just don't have that camaraderie like I did with the guys that I played with. So Dumplings is probably the best restaurant to get catfish. Back in the day, before they closed, what was his name?
G-Paw's Pay Lake?
There you go. Jake's got it. G-Paw's Pay Lake had the best catfish in Allen County.
I miss G-Paw's Pay Lake.
Yep.
Every time I think about eating catfish.
Oh my gosh, dude. He had banana bread, too. Banana bread or...
It was so good.
Yes, and the Hush Puppies were amazing. And I swear, there was a Harper's Mafia or something that took him out so they would close.
Probably.
Simpson County? I don't go to Simpson County unless I'm lost, so... I
mean, it's so small, it's easy to be forgotten about, except when you're going through the state line over on F65. That's the only real reason anyone ever goes through Simpson County.
You don't frequent Kentucky Downs, Jared?
Good.
Listen, I don't have that much money to begin with, so I definitely don't need to try to, gamble.
Yeah.
That's not very financially smart decision.
Oh, come on now.
But we are the Las Vegas of South Central Kentucky. Y'all can fight us over that. I mean, we got the horse racing, we got the booze and stuff, we got the gambling and all that fun stuff. I mean, there's been a lot of people that have actually won money down there that I've heard of. But, I mean, it's so. Let me tell you about Simpson County. So,
great. Okay, here we go.
All right. So Kentucky Downs is like a big deal and everything, and not even they want to claim that they're from Franklin. Like, they have those Nashville ads. They have ads that they run on like News Channel 5 in Nashville, the NBC affiliate, and Channel 2 and all of that. And they don't even say they're in Franklin. They say they're just like 30 minutes north of Nashville off of Exit 2. Like, y'all aren't even going to say what city or county you're from. That's how bad Simpson County is. Y'all don't even want to claim it. I mean, there's been other people that have lived in Simpson County or were from Franklin and they moved somewhere else and they said that they were from Bowling Green. That happens a lot. I would never do that just because, I mean, they would treat me like a celebrity the rest of my life if I have any type of success whatsoever, mostly. Like, I mean, we have Kenny Perry, which, of course, any of y'all that watch golf remember the choke job that he had in the Masters.
Worst loss as a fan. One of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad, but I mean, it's just like, you got to be kidding me. But and also Joker Phillips too. He was another one that we had. He's a coach at UK for a little bit, and that did not pan out.
Which he frequents. Well. He frequents high school football games down there several times, from my understanding.
I hadn't seen Joker in a while, but that doesn't surprise me. I remember he was offensive coordinator at Florida after that. I don't know where all he's gone since then.
Yeah, you guys have a knockoff Five Guys there for a long time that. Jetters or something like that went out of business.
Yeah, Checkers. We did. Checkers. I remember that. Whatever building that is, it must have been cursed because it started as a Crystals. They went out of business, which made me really sad. I liked Crystals. And then they had that. I think it was whatever the name of it was. I can't even remember. There's been like 3 or 4 different things.
It was pretty much Five Guys to a T. They had like the peanuts on the floor and everything.
Yeah, it was. It basically was, and it went out of business like so many other things in this town. Like, this is what happens. Like, we get a new restaurant, and we're like, oh, heck yeah, finally something new to eat. And then all of us go there for a solid 2 months, and you eat there like 4 times a week, and you get sick of it, and you don't want to go back there anymore. And then like a few months after that, they file bankruptcy, and then they're gone forever because nobody goes. Like, I can name so many different restaurants. Arby's did that. Let me see, like although the Crystals did that, Bojangles did that. There's like so many different places in Franklin that went out of business because everybody went there and then they ate there too much and haven't gone back. And it's a good thing that Popeye's chicken sandwiches are gone right now, or else that could be the case with me. I would get so sick of eating them, but I know I'm going to be going there all the time once they're back because it's like a mile from my house, so definitely going to hit up the Popeyes.
Jake, what do you got, buddy?
For me, I always have to make fun of Butler County. I know because they're kind of in that fringe of South Central Kentucky. And you know, I got on my mom's side. I got some kin over there, so I can really dig on them. They only come out of the holler like, yeah, you know when they come out of the holler to work at WKU because by God, all the facilities I'm pretty sure when I worked there were from Butler County. They were all from the holler. That was they worked for WKU facilities, which shout out to WKU facilities, put food on my table for 30 years.
Shout out to Hunter P, who gives us our photos from Butler County.
Yeah, so I got to talk to him before the game on
his
Saturday.
His mom, Melinda P, is awesome. I used to work for her in the stock room WKU. Awesome person, super duper helpful, great woman. Husband's cool too. But yeah, that's Butler County. I have to laugh because like we all talk about like, well, you want to get lost, go to Allen County, dude. Allen County is a metropolitan area compared to Butler County. Like, again, have you been there? Like, I remember. So one of our mechanics is from there, and we had to take, and it still is to this day, a legitimate county road that's still gravel to get to his house. There's still actual county roads that are gravel, and not just somebody's driveway. It's a long driveway that happens to be a county road.
Oh my gosh.
A legit county road.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a road in Simpson County that's spray paint road that everybody goes out and spray paints. It's actually pretty cool.
That's hilarious.
Actually, that's kind of fun.
They're actually, talking about that kind of stuff, there is actually a haunted bridge in Allen County. Don't ask me where it is because I never went to it. Because
I've gone to the
don't do
haunted
that.
hospital in Scottsville too. You just reminded me of that. That
Have
was
you
actually
been
kind
to
of...
the Skeleton's Lair or whatever? It's right.
Skeleton's Lair is good, man.
Skeleton's Lair
it good?
is 2 minutes down the road from me, and I've never gone to it.
It's fun. It's right across the line down Cemetery Road. It's real good.
Yeah. I always.
You're
go
an
there when I go
Undertaker.
to
You're
Lake
supposed to
Ball.
love spooky stuff.
First off, there's a difference in spooky stuff and just stupid stuff. So, I have never... I take that back. I went one time to Skeleton's Lair, and that's when they had... was his name Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard when he was there? That is the only time I've ever been there. I deal with spooky stuff all the time. I have no interest in that kind of stuff, so... I ain't messing with that. Ross, what you got, buddy?
So, as the only non-South Central Kentucky native, but I do have a lot of roots in the region. My mom's from Bowling Green, so basically, through blood, or not blood, but I was adopted, but through stories and going to visit my grandparents in the region. Well, we've had that lake house in Allen County since probably 2002. So, my bona fides are pretty good, and then obviously went to school. I think the funniest place I've been to would be, Logan County for sure. Just, a bunch of my fraternity brothers were from there. They would rave about Roy's barbecue, and really, there really isn't anything in Logan County at all. And
Amen.
and you just and I think only one of them stayed there, and it's kind of funny. Some funny other stories. I was telling Devin about this story. I always go to Glasgow instead of Scottsville just because there's more restaurant options.
Yeah, definitely.
And we would go to Culver's like right after they went, when they went moist or whatever. You could go get a beer. So we had this old country waitress, and I got my buddy who's like 6'4", 280, big boy. We're ordering like tall boy beers. He has two of them, and we're like 23, 24. That's not going to faze us. She cuts him off, says, "You've had enough, honey," and we were just like flabbergasted. Like, just good old country. I know what's best for you.
That's right, yeah. You can't handle that, buddy. So, yeah. First off, we love South Central Kentucky. Because Jake and I have moved away from South Central Kentucky to wherever you want to call Elizabethtown. I don't even know which area would accept it.
The Heartland, just central.
The Heartland, okay.
That's what they all say up here.
Louisville Metro.
Ugh, God no. So
Yeah, I'm right in the center of South Central Kentucky.
yes, I mean we
man,
still
Simpson County is the thorn in Tennessee's
I
side.
moved out.
no joke. The only time I ever went to Simpson County was either when we played them in sports, or when I had to get my letter jacket fixed because I always went to. Isn't that Duke Sporting Goods over there?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're still open or not. It's been
Yeah, I want to say they are.
20 years since I've seen them, but yeah. So we love it. We love every bit of living in Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky's a great place. I know Allen County's getting a lot of shade tonight, and that's fine. We can take it.
What else is new?
We can take it. It's all fine. Y'all just can't handle living in Scottsville or Allen County.
I don't think I'd want to, but okay.
Yeah. Granted, live in the county, don't live in the city. Just saying.
Right.
Always. So the
Paradise Point, shout out.
shout out what?
For sure, Paradise Point, he said.
Oh, Paradise Point. Sorry. So the game's this weekend on ESPN Plus, 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to check it out if you can't make it to the game. If you can, good job. You're going to Norfolk.
For real.
But always check out the Towel Rack. We'll have they have articles going out every day. All kinds of information. Some high celebrity status people check it out. So check it out. Yeah.
Wait, Courtney Lee reads the Towel Rack? That's awesome.
Sorry, I just got a text. I just got a text from Ross. So I'll have to send it to you after the show, Jake.
Okay.
As always, guys, check out the podcast, like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate your support. We may give you a rough time for your cold takes, but they're still your takes. So
That's right.
we will
love to hear it.
educate you into why your cold takes are wrong, but you're entitled to your opinion because this is the USA.
That's
so
right.
check out the game, support Western, support RedOUT, support the Tops, And as always, guys, go Tops.
Your Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.